You are listening to Passport Talks, a podcast on how to become a true cosmopolitan, how to travel the world without visas, create a safe haven for your family, and access top-notch education and healthcare with a second passport or residency.
14 benefits of EU citizenship. The EU passport has numerous benefits for individuals looking to explore new opportunities, travel freely, or reside in any of the EU member states. This episode will discuss the advantages of obtaining an EU passport and ways to get one. EU passport benefits. One of the most significant advantages of an EU passport is the right to move freely within the member states. You don't need to get a visa, but you might be required to register at a migration office or police station if you decide to stay in another EU country for an extended period. 2. EU passport holders can work in any member state without visa or work permit requirements. 3. European health insurance cards are given to all EU citizens for free. With it, they're entitled to free or low-cost healthcare in any EU member state. 4. An EU passport holder is entitled to citizenship rights, including voting in the European Parliament elections. 5. There are plenty of high-quality universities in the EU countries. EU passport holders can study there for free or at a reduced rate. 6. A European citizen can travel visa-free to over 170 countries. That includes all the EU countries, the UK, the USA, Canada, Japan, and many others. 7. EU passport holders can access financial benefits such as tax incentives and social security. EU countries also have double tax treaties with many countries that allow their citizens not to pay taxes to 2 states. 8. With the EU passport, you can purchase and own property in any EU member state without restrictions. 9. An EU passport holder can bring their family members to live with them in any EU member state. 10. European countries are generally known for having a high quality of life. EU citizens benefit from regulations on food, safety, and consumer rights. 11. The EU consular considers you an EU citizen no matter in what country you're at the moment, so if something wrong happens during your travels, you can rely on protection from it. 12. EU member states are known for their political stability, an essential factor for investors and entrepreneurs. With the EU passport, you can create a safe haven and move there in case of any instabilities in your country of origin. 13. With an EU passport, you have broader opportunities to run a business in the EU. For example, an EU citizen can register a company in 3 days, while the procedure can be much longer for non-citizens. 14. Fast-tracking in airports. Usually there is a separate queue for EU citizens on arrival at EU airports, and is much shorter than a regular one. All ways to obtain an EU passport. The main ways to obtain an EU passport are by descent, marriage, and naturalisation. Let's discuss them in detail. 1. Descent. If one of your parents or grandparents is an EU citizen, you may be eligible for an EU passport by descent. The eligibility criteria vary depending on the country and program, but typically you must prove your ancestry, provide supporting documents, and follow the correct application procedures. The processing time for obtaining an EU passport by descent may take several months to a year. 2. Marriage. You may be eligible for an EU passport if you are married to an EU citizen. To obtain citizenship by marriage, you must have been married for a specific period, prove your marriage, and meet other requirements such as language proficiency and residence. The processing time for obtaining an EU passport by marriage usually takes several years. 3. Naturalisation. You can get an EU passport through naturalisation if you've been living in an EU member state for a specific period and meet the eligibility criteria. The eligibility criteria may vary depending on the country. Still, typically you must have a clean criminal record, pay taxes, have sufficient knowledge of the country's language and culture, and meet other requirements. A passport by naturalisation is obtained in several years, depending on the country, but in most cases, the minimum time is 5 years. 4. Naturalisation by direct investment. It is impossible to obtain a European passport directly by investment. However, there is a way to ease your path to EU citizenship. Typically, you invest and get a residence permit or permanent residence first. Then, after 5 to 10 years of living in the country, you can apply for citizenship by naturalisation. Countries with residency by investment programs. One of them is Spain. You can participate in the Golden Visa program, which grants residency to non-EU citizens who invest a minimum of €500,000 in real estate. Other investment options include opening a deposit in a Spanish bank, purchase of shares of Spanish companies, purchase of units in investment funds, purchase of government bonds, business investments. Obtainment of a Spanish passport is only possible after 10 years of residing in the country. You would also need to renounce any other citizenships you have. Greece has a similar program where you can obtain residency by investing a minimum of €250,000 in real estate. The investment can be a single property or a portfolio of properties. Other options are renting a hotel or tourist residence, purchasing a land plot for construction or agriculture, timeshares for 10 years, inheriting or receiving real estate as a gift, buying securities, or opening a bank deposit. Greece's residence permit is granted for 5 years. After that, you can apply for permanent residency and citizenship 2 years later. Cyprus Residency by Investment Program offers permanent residence right away. An investor can choose one of the investment options, including a €300,000 investment in real estate, shares of Cypriot companies, or securities. The investment must be maintained for a minimum of 3 years. The status is valid for life and doesn't need to be renewed. Applicants for Malta permanent residency must meet specific financial requirements, including having assets of €500,000+, where €150,000 are liquid financial assets. Besides that, investors must invest money in real estate, make charitable donations, and pay administrative and contribution fees. There are 2 real estate investment options: €10,000+ per annum for renting a property, €300,000+ for buying a property. Real estate must be rented or owned for at least 5 years after obtaining permanent residence. The status in Malta is granted for life. Step-by-step procedure for obtaining an EU passport. Step 1. Choose the country that offers citizenship by investment program based on your needs and budget. Before deciding, you should research each program's requirements, investment options, and benefits. Step 2. Consult a reputable immigration consultant or lawyer to understand the eligibility criteria and documentation requirements. They will guide you through the process, advise you on the best program for your situation, and help you prepare your application. Step 3. Make the required investment in the chosen country's economy or society per the program guidelines. The investment may be in real estate, government bonds, business investment, research and development projects, or a donation to a specific fund. The investment amount may vary depending on the country and program. Step 4. Apply for citizenship through the respective government department or agency after completing the investment. You must provide all the necessary documentation and undergo background checks, medical examinations, and sometimes an interview. Step 5. You will receive your EU passport if your application is approved. The processing time is different in different countries. It is essential to work with a reputable immigration consultant or lawyer to ensure that you follow the correct procedures and submit a complete application. They will also help you understand the risks and benefits associated with the program and assist you in making informed decisions. That's it for this episode about the benefits of EU citizenship. Visit immigrantinvest.com for detailed information about investment programs or to book a meeting with Immigrant Invest lawyers who can help find answers to tricky questions. Take the next step towards your global opportunities and secure your future with Immigrant Invest. And see you in the next episodes of Passport Talks.
You are listening to Passport Talks, a podcast on how to become a true cosmopolitan, how to travel the world without visas, create a safe haven for your family, and access top-notch education and healthcare with a second passport or residency.